Hello, welcome back to my channel. I want to start this video off by saying that I'm not trying to brag in any way, shape, or form. I just know that watching these videos also made me feel more confident about the college admissions process and when I'm applying. So if you're the class of 2021 and you're watching this, I hope you guys can get some information out of this, or at least some form of hope, because I know that's what I needed. With that being said, I'm going to go through all the colleges that I applied to and the colleges that I was accepted to, rejected from, waitlisted from, all those digs. I applied to 13 schools and I was actually discouraged from applying to any more than 13, which honestly, you guys don't have to apply to over 10 schools. You can literally only go to one. So I suggest going for those 2 to 3 to 4 reach schools and then really focusing the rest of the schools that you apply to schools that you fit within their ranges. So I had a whole spreadsheet that I used to organize their acceptance rates, their average GPAs, and their average SAT and ACT scores. And I highlighted the boxes that I did not fit within for my own personal stats. And that helped me a lot when it came down to applying to colleges, because I originally had about like 20 schools on that list and I was able to narrow it down to a reasonable amount. This also helps you save money on the whole admissions process, and it also helps you save your mental state, because applying to 13 schools was a lot of effort for me, and some of the schools didn't even require like supplemental essays. That being said, let's get into my stats. So I'm kind of part of the, and I'm not like super stupid, but I did not do a lot of the things that I should have done in order to make me more competitive for college. I did not take calculus. I did not take the hardest classes that I could. I spent 2 years in a floral class. That being said, for my ACT, I got a 28, and depending on which school I was considering, it was either really good or it was really bad. For my GPA, I had a 4.2 weighted and a 3.85 unweighted. I took a few APs and honors classes, but I mainly stayed away from classes that I wasn't really interested in. As for my subject test, I took 2. Did not do so well on one, but I did decent on the biology test, so I got a 650 on that, and I put that in my college application. And for AP tests, I took the AP bio test and I got a 3 on that. This year I'm taking 3 APs, so stats, microeconomics, and government. I will be taking those tests in a few weeks and we'll see how that goes. As for my extracurriculars, I owned a business, so that was kind of the pinnacle of my application. I ran a corsage floral business, and through that I was also a part of FFA, so you know what FFA is. Howdy. And that business won an award, so I made sure to mention that. I also got my chapter degree in FFA, so I put that on there. And my other extracurriculars, I played basketball, club, and high school. For high school, I only played my sophomore and junior year on varsity, and for club, I was playing throughout my whole life, as early as I think 7th grade. I was in student government, so I held a position at my junior high freshman year as the ASB vice president, and then my senior year at the high school, I was ASB treasurer. So I made sure to talk about not only the events that I was a committee head for, but also how I had plans to earn money, save money, spend money, etc. I listed the fact that I had a YouTube channel. I also had a part-time job, so I put that on there. And I also mentioned the fact that I was the treasurer and president of the Filipino club, because I'm Filipino. So I applied to 13 schools. I'll just give you the short rundown for all these schools. I'm just going to go in order of how I heard back from them. So the first school I heard back from was the University of Portland, and my major was business there, just regular business. And I was accepted with a $26,000 a year scholarship. Next, University of Arizona. Next school. I applied as a pre-business major. So basically at Arizona, Oregon, and UW, those Pac-12 schools, you apply for the major you want, but then after 2 years, you then can reapply to the specific school or college and then get accepted there and continue your major so you can take those upper level courses. And so it's not my favorite method, but at University of Arizona, I was accepted to the business school pre-admit. So I was considered top 5% of their incoming class, and therefore I would be able to like streamline the whole secondary application process, and I would just be admitted to the business school, assuming I went there. And there I got an $18,000 a year scholarship because of my GPA and SAT, ACT score. Depending on how well you do in school, they can give you a scholarship based on that. Next, I heard from the University of San Francisco, and I applied as a marketing major to their business school. And there I got a $25,000 a year scholarship, as well as admission to the honor school. So I didn't have to apply to the honor school, they just put you in there if you meet certain criteria, which I was like, that's dope, that's dope. And so after hearing back from those 3 schools, I was kind of like getting a confidence boost, because I was like, maybe I'm not that dumb, but just wait. Next, I heard from the University of Oregon, and honestly, I hate how Oregon does their admissions notifications, because it's never on the same day as everyone else, so you can't like look forward to one single day. It's a rolling admission. They don't send you an email to like go check your application portal. It's just like, congratulations, you're in, and then no other information after that. And I had to wait, I think, a month to hear what my scholarship was gonna be, but actually you can go online and figure out what your scholarship is gonna be. I didn't know that until I looked it up after the fact. Like Arizona, give you a scholarship based on your GPA and ACT, SAT score, and if you fall within a certain range, you get X amount of money. So for there, I got a $10,000 a year scholarship. Nice, dope. Another perk is that I also got pre-accepted to the business school there. So if I went there, I wouldn't have to reapply to the business school. I just automatically got in, assuming I kept a certain GPA. And my next school I got accepted to was the University of Washington. This was a little bit scary for me because this was kind of the first school that I had applied to where I was worried that I wasn't going to get in, because I know that it's super competitive and a lot of people apply there. I knew at least like 20 people from my school who had applied there, so I'm just like, well, shit. But luckily enough, I got in. I did not get into the business school there, so if I go there, I would have to kind of struggle my way to get into the business school, and you know, that's scary because I don't know what I'm gonna do if I don't do business. I got a $3,000 a year scholarship, and that's all the perks I got from Washington. So then I heard from LMU, and LMU is a funny story because I was going to apply to only 12 schools because I didn't want to have to pay for another application fee. But LMU was like, why didn't you finish your application? And I was like, because I didn't want to pay more money. And they were like, oh, ho, ho, that's okay. We got you covered. And so I did. I was like, might as well. I was accepted to the entrepreneurship program at LMU, and I got a $19,500 scholarship per year, which sounds like a lot of money, but LMU is still very expensive. And next I heard from Fordham, and Fordham was another school that I was worried about not getting into. I was originally deferred because I applied early action, and I was waiting to hear back from them, and I finally did, and I got waitlisted. Yeah, I think part of it had to do with the fact that I never took calculus, and I read somewhere on their website that they highly recommend pre-calc for at least the business school applicants, so I think that kind of made me get waitlisted. And I immediately knew that I wasn't going to be able to go there anyways, so I took my application out, and I don't know if I'd ever get accepted off the waitlist, so there's that. After that, I heard from Bentley University, which is up in Massachusetts. That's where my father went to college, so he really wanted me to apply and just see like if I can get in. I applied to Bentley as a business major, and I got accepted with a $10,000 a year scholarship. My next school that I heard back from was UC Irvine. I did not get in. I was rejected. The next school I heard back from was Boston University, and this was the first of 4 Reach schools that I applied to. And I was a little bit nervous because I had this like sick feeling that if I couldn't get into that school, then I could kiss all the other 3 goodbye. And Boston University, out of my 4 Reach schools, was probably my least favorite because I had to apply as an econ major because they too had the requirement that if you wanted to get into the business school, you had to have calculus or at least pre-calc. Your girl didn't have that. So I actually got a chance to talk to my admissions counselor face to face because he visited my school. And when I was talking to him, I was like, hey, how can I still get accepted even though I suck at taking the right classes in high school? My boy, Mr. Gallery, was like, listen, just apply as an econ major and then you can transfer after a year. And I was like, that's dope, that sounds lit. It's not a complicated process, it's just to check a box and pick a major. And so I decided that that's what I was gonna do if I did end up getting accepted and going there. And I got accepted, yes. But, and here's the but, I got accepted to the CGS London program. So basically, I would take a gap semester, and in the spring, I would start at Boston. And then in the summer, I would go to London for an intensive, like, 6-week program. And by the time I was ready to go back in the fall, I would still have sophomore status, everything would be fine, and I'd be able to pick my major that I wanted. So I wasn't accepted as an econ major, I was accepted as the CGS London program. And the best way I could describe it is that it's kind of like they're gonna hold your hand and make sure you graduate in 4 years. That's the way I see it. I didn't get any scholarship money from them, so, you know, at the pretty penny price of $80K a year, I could safely rule out Boston University. But hey, I got accepted, so I felt pretty good about myself. I was a little bit of a confidence boost. I was like, okay, maybe these next 3 schools might not go as horrible. And then the next school I heard from was UCLA. Lovely. I didn't get accepted. End of that story. And then next was USC. So USC and Northeastern came out on the same day. And that night before, I just had like a gut feeling that I was going to get into one of the 2 schools. I didn't get into USC. But yes, so taking that whole summer program, like going to all the USC events, did not make me a candidate for USC. I think it's fine. So my last school was Northeastern, and I got accepted, as I gave away moments ago, and this was kind of a big shock for me. Like, I understood not getting into USC or UCLA, that's like a sub 10% acceptance rate, but Northeastern and Boston University, for me at least, are having such low stats, it really just like threw me for a curveball, and I was just like, what? So I got accepted to Northeastern for the entrepreneurship school, but if you know anything about Northeastern, they have the NU In program where they send a third of their freshman class abroad. And so I was accepted to that, and I was super hyped. I was like, bro, I'm gonna be in London, I'm gonna be far away, I'm gonna go away, like, oh ho ho. And then I got my financial aid package. And by getting a financial aid package, I mean I got nothing. So my main priority for college was obviously going somewhere where I can get a business degree in 4 years. At Boston University, I had to start in the spring, and I didn't want to delay my education because I knew that those 6 months probably wouldn't be productive. So I decided to cross off Boston University, also because it was super expensive. And then next that I could cross off my list was also Bentley. While it would have been funny to go there because my dad went there, it was just out of my price range at that point. I also wanted a good mix between like social life and school life. And so when I started to think about those things, I just never felt like I'd fit in the way I want to at USF. So I crossed out USF, and I also crossed out Portland. Now it's not to say that those schools wouldn't have been a good fit for me. It's just that from what I knew, it was just one school was a little too small and the other one was a little too just close to home is kind of how I saw it. The next thing I looked at was city life. So I wanted to go somewhere that was a big city where I have never really been before or explored. And so after realizing that, I could cross out University of Arizona because Arizona has a more like suburban feel to it. And there's a lot to do on campus there, but it just like, it wasn't a going away feeling that I wanted. And I also crossed off the University of Oregon because my brother goes there. He tried to play it up like it was a big city, but every time I visited there, it just felt depressing. And it's not to say that would have been depressing if I went there. It's just that it didn't really fit my personality and what I really saw as college life. So I crossed out those schools. So I left with LMU, UW, and Northeastern. And it was hard to try and choose because one school had everything I wanted, but it's too expensive. I had to kick out Northeastern. So I was left with two very good schools. At LMU, I had friends that went there and I knew a lot of people there already. I was in the entrepreneurship school. It was near a big city. It just it felt good. But UW also felt good. At UW, I didn't have the opportunity to just get into the business school immediately, which the #1 priority is a business degree. But it did have city life, it did have a good mix between work and play, and overall it just felt like I would fit in better there rather than at LMU, just because I'm not fit for SoCal. I think I'm just a little too awkward for SoCal. I feel like Seattle would fit my personality better. I don't know why. I just overall feel like UW would be a much better place for me to go. And so that's where I'm going. So go dogs. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you learned anything, if this gave you any hope for college admissions processes, if you just learned something new about me, consider subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, all that good stuff. If you have any more questions about what it's like to get into a college when your stats don't fit into it, by all means, reach out, let me know, and I will do my best to answer them. But other than that, I hope you guys are staying safe and enjoy yourself.